When you have a child, there's no time to take a vacation from parenting or from being a guardian. From the day you birth a child or you adopt a child or you take particular interest in a child, you need to make positive impact on that child. It becomes a responsibility, whether you're awake, whether you're sleeping, whether you're alien, you have somebody who's looking up to you for guidance in this big world. You can't take a vacation from that. And sometimes when we turn our eyes or when we ignore some things, a gap begins to show in the upbringing of our children. And it goes without saying that these children, however young they may be at this time, are going to grow up to be leaders. They're going to grow up to be presidents, ministers, ambassadors. They're going to hold countries in their hands. They're going to make major decisions. So any wrong step we take can impact negatively on them, and thereby we are redirecting something that ought to have been great, and we're going to make it small, we're going to make it meaningless. That's why it behoves all of us, every time, all the time, 24 hours every day, to have our eyes on these children, whether as parents, as guardians, as relatives, as members of the society. It is a collective responsibility. Even more so when in this day and age we see subtle signs of child abuse. Whether it's subtle, whether it's huge, whether it's obvious, it behooves us, here especially on Weekend Deal, to bring it to the center table and talk about it. When you look up the word subtle, you're looking at clever, indirect, delicate, easy peasy words, but they have a gigantic impact on our children, future leaders of great countries. Welcome to Weekend Deal. My name is Thelma Obaza. We'd love for you to be a part of the program today as we talk about this very special group of people in every society, in every country, in every continent, our children. Davos, January 16th to 20th, talking about the World Economic Forum. The theme was cooperation in a fragmented world. How does that concern us? It concerns us because when things are fragmented and we're talking about it, it means we can't begin to piece them together. That's why we often talk about raising our children. That is beyond the responsibility of the parents and the guardians. It's a collective journey that every adult in every society must come on board to piece together. If there are fragments, we have a responsibility. Build it, make it work, bring it closer, assemble it. Well, as Francis tackles subtle forms of child abuse with Charles Wezwe, who's a proprietor and of course a parent, he says that when we disassociate ourselves from our children or worlds around or under us, we negate our responsibility first and we become unpatriotic second. Francis, what else did you find?
Even parents abuse our own children. You take the child to a place where you see people drinking alcohol, almost naked and talking anyhow, and you think you are doing the child anything good. No. You are abusing the child. In some of our secondary school or primary school, these children drink what their father used to drink at home and in the parties where they go and all that. It's child abuse. What are you trying to teach the children when you are fighting in their presence with their mother? They will think it is normal when they get used to it. You are abusing that child emotionally, because when the child may be moved to say, Daddy, don't talk to my mommy like that. Daddy, why are you beating my mommy? And then you say, get out, stupid, and all that. How will you, I mean, the child will say, my father is also, is he anything? Has he gone mad inside of him? He may not say it out. So when we do all these things in the presence of the children, we are abusing them. And when you say some derogatory words or use some derogatory languages against the children, you are stupid, you are idiot, you amount to nothing, you don't, all because they provoke you or they annoyed you, because they are children. And for instance, a man almost dressing naked in the house, how will you correct the children, teach them where to dress? A woman dressing even in front of the children. Maybe they are female children, you are dressing in front of them. They may ask you some questions you may be shocked, you will not be able to ask because of what they are seeing. Your nudity. You are abusing them because you are taking them to where they are yet to get to and understand why things like that exist. If you go to some parties now and see how children of maybe 4, 6, 7 years, they kind of dance their dance, you know we are in trouble. And the parents are happy because their children are dancing. What kind of dance? Our home video, they are also helping to abuse the children. Parents are helping to abuse the children. Uncles and brothers and sisters also are not exempted, because you must be a role model for these children if we must catch them young and get them going on a value-oriented lifestyle. Because we do not know how to use social media, social media is now using us. Social media is abusing us, abusing our children. Because parents have this strong orientation that you introduce your child to social media early enough, the sky will be the limit, he will know everything. There are so many things he will know that he has not gotten to the age of knowing it that will become a problem to youth and to society. And that's what is happening. Most of the things the children watch in social media, they practice. And so you discover that we are helping to abuse our children because we expose them early enough. Maybe you're cooking, you're washing clothes, you're doing other things. You allow only the house helps to do it. Is doing the children misservice, and it's a form of child abuse because you are not teaching them what they're supposed to know.
Weekend Deal today is captioned Subtle Forms of Child Abuse.
That was a background feature by Francis. Let us into critical areas that will form the platform for our chat today with our experts. Let's welcome Professor Val Odife, Professor of Pediatrics, Geisinger Medical School, Pennsylvania, United States of America. Great to have you in Nigeria. This is your country now.
Yeah, no,
you are home. You are home.
Okay.
Great to have you with us on Weekend Deal today. And Madam Augusta Ofune Ugafo, who is a retired Deputy Director, Nursing Services Clinical at the National Hospital in Abuja. She's also a pediatrician. Thank you for joining us on Weekend Deal today.
You're welcome.
Many people may not be familiar with the term subtle forms of child abuse. Subtle. Why would we use that word subtle? Okay, I'll just we'll ruminate with that, for a few seconds while we'll take our next feature. As we watch the feature, we'll gather our thoughts and then we'll have our chat. Our next feature is talking about bleaching children's skin in the name of fashion. Wow, that's coming from Lagos. Tell us more.
If you are asked today whether you were abused as a child, and looking back at your supposedly beautiful childhood, the answer may be a resounding no. When we hear the term child abuse, we often picture the physical torture meted out to a child, but there are other subtler forms that hit just as hard or even harder than a blow on the head. Skin bleaching in children is one of the numerous subtle forms of child abuse. The current trend in this part of the country is the lighter your child, the more good-looking they are. Why this trend?
The general beauty standard in Nigeria is for women to be fair, and because we think fair is above like dark-skinned people, being fair is above dark-skinned people, and that's the kind of toxic beauty standard that we have in Nigeria currently. So mothers who want their children to be appealing to society, so that's the reason why they bleach their children. Your child is here and they see your child is like, oh, you're fine, your child is not that pretty because the child has a dark skin. They're like, that kind of thing. They just like, they don't really think of dark people as pretty people.
It's a dangerous trend. We now see that parents are bleaching their babies. Young babies under the age of 3 months are being bleached, and there's a lot of societal pressure in certain communities that is causing these parents to bleach their children.
The rate at which many parents, especially mothers, mix mercury or steroids containing tube creams to make them look fairer is alarming.
Bleaching is not good for health. It's harmful to an adult, talk more of children.
For me, I didn't see it as a good thing, and I can never do so. I can never advise anybody I love or any of my child to bleach. I'm highly against it.
Because it will get to a point that bleaching cream will start reacting on their body. And if happens to be, maybe if it's a lady, she will feel, okay, since I have to continue where I stop, where my parents stop.
What is the long-term consequences?
Premature acne, irritation, redness on the children. They have this kind of deformed look. They don't really look natural. Do you understand? You know that this child has been bleached.
When the children begin to have this pigmentation, acne, infections all around, and they begin to look significantly different from the people maybe in their classroom or in their peer groups, and there's a lot of pigmentation, there's damage to their skin. Some of them are susceptible to bullying, there's stigmatization, there's name calling, and all these sort of things are also not healthy for your children.
According to research, it is quite normal for an infant's skin color to change as he or she grows.
As much as we can, we should use very simple, natural products on our babies. There's no need to try to bleach or whiten or lighten the skin of a baby. It should be left the way it is.
The government and regulatory bodies should enforce stricter regulation of children's skincare products. The long-term consequences of this form of child abuse can be severe. All skin colors are beautiful and should not be tampered with for any reason. Embrace your child's original complexion with love.
To grow up and live their lives and enjoy it just the way you have. Bleaching your child's skin for whatever reason, it's not in their best healthy interest. We know that at that age, the skin is not ready for any contamination or tampering with. But that's for our experts to delve into when we'll be chatting with them in a short while. For now, let's continue to tell you things that are happening around us, round and about our immediate vicinity. We'll go to Kaduna. There's talk about smoking in the presence of young ones, either our wards, our children, or just young people in our neighborhood. Have you ever seen something like that happen? Well, in Kaduna, from what we hear, it's happening. Please share.
Established fact that smoking cigarettes is harmful to health, but many don't know that smoking cigarettes is also harmful to people around smokers, especially children.
So the risk of the secondhand smoker is that he's not the one smoking. The person that is smoking, you are inhaling what he's smoking directly from the cigarette. The person that is smoking has a filter that he filters it out and is even less. Then when he exhales, he is contaminating the smoke itself from what is from his system that you are not exhaling. So you have a double barrel effect that is negative to the system, and it has that risk concomitant more than the risk that it is with the smoker. When you come to the children, the effect on the children itself is that the child is growing, his system is fresh, he's young, and you're exposing him to toxins. We know the nature of growing up. Any abhorrent external thing that comes to the system affects the child while he's growing. That's why diseases in the children, early part in the children, has debilitating effect in the child.
Now, the effects of this for children is that even though the quantities in which what they secondarily smoke, when their parents or other people around them smoke nicotine, the content of this nicotine is actually quite small, but it could be harmful and deleterious to the child's welfare. Now, imagine if the smoking was while the woman was pregnant with the child. If the mother is smoking and then pregnant with the child, we are aware of several congenital consequences. That means the child may not form very well. The mother might not eat healthily. So it can lead to the brain not developing very well, the brain of the child that she's carrying. Now, this is before the child is born. Then after delivery of the child could be exposed because of the secondary smoking, could be significantly affected by the smoking, in early childhood, in which the child may not develop very well, or their brain may develop in a defective way, or not in the best way possible.
Children who grew up with parents who smoke are likely to develop the habit of smoking.
So there are so many consequences on the children of individuals that smoke. Children that live around individuals that smoke. This is disregarding also what the child may also learn from social learning, observation. By seeing the parents doing it, it indirectly teaches the child that this is acceptable, this is ideal, this is okay. So the child may grow up and he has access to it very easily within the house, and so may start experimenting at a very young age. And this could lead to, when the child grows older, it can lead to other substance use problems, not just that of the nicotine.
How can children be protected from the harmful effect of secondhand smoke?
Poison that he has from the smoke, when he touches the child, the clothing will remain there and the child will have that effect. So the person should not smoke. That's the prevention. No smoking around the child, no smoking in the environment, no going to contact with the child or near the child within the hour that you have smoked. And that's the ultimate prevention of transmitting the poisonous toxins to the child.
For your own health and for the health of your children, it is essential and necessary for one to try and protect your child. That is part of your responsibility as a parent. So sometimes we do things or we stop ourselves from doing certain things, not for ourselves, but for our children. So please, as parents, try as much as possible to stop the substance use. Your children need you more than they need any money or anything that you might be providing for them. So be healthy, you yourself. Protect yourself from medical and psychological illnesses, which smoking cigarette can also be part of.
Make your home smoke-free. If you smoke, do it outside home in an open area, away from children. Better still, quit smoking, as smokers are liable to die young.
Do it for the sake of the child. We just learned that little matter what you're providing, how well you're providing, if you are smoking in the presence of your child, you are impacting their health negatively, and of course yours as well. We can talk now, and we expect to have your messages, your experiences come forth in the course of our conversation. Let me start the chat with Madam Augusta Ofune Ugafo. You've heard some of the examples that have been brought forth.
Yes.
We're talking about subtle forms of child abuse.
Yeah.
give us your own take.
You know, like she rightfully said now about smoking. When you tell people that it's very, very harmful, they tend not to believe you. But you see what we are seeing today, we have a problem. Though I know very well that, yes, nutritional aspects is equally not properly handled. But I'm seeing it on an angle of smoking, second-hand smoking. When you hear about second-hand smoking, people said, what does that mean? I just smoked around. I tell people, once you sight somebody smoking, run away. The person smoking is safer compared to you that you are inhaling it.
How is that so?
Yes. You are not used to it. Your system is not used to it. It just speaks. It can become insultive immediately. Nobody knows the type of cells you have on your body. And this will bring a big reaction on the system and knock the person off. Today we are talking about cancer. Cancer all over, cancer all over. And nobody is doing anything about it. When you talk, people will tell you, yes, they specifically spirited it out, smoking is dangerous to your health. No, we should do something about it. Government should enforce more on this. Because you see, our children are being destroyed these days. You can see a handful of them in the environment now, smoking. A lot of smoking, different kind of things coming up. Some are not even smoking, but you see them coming down with a problem. A parents will be wondering, where did it come from? But by the time you settle down to take proper history from them, proper assessment, you pick where it has come. And this is something that did not happen just in one day. A relative may be in the house with you, he is a smoker. It's nothing to you. Your children are there. You aren't saying anything about it. It's my uncle. It's my auntie. The damage has been done.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if not checked, can continue.
Absolutely.
Dr. Val Odife,
yes.
We're talking about subtle forms of child abuse. Imagine smoking in front of a child. Now we're getting to learn that beyond the bad example you are setting, you are impacting that child's health negatively.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, they could start to smoke.
Absolutely. And, you know, interestingly, I'd like to sort of emphasize that there's no way to understand a nation's growth without understanding the soul of the child. How we treat the children is actually crucial, and child abuse in all forms, as we're dealing with today now, is smoking as one aspect of it, impacts the child. Now, she talked about smoking. She was trying to relate more to things that could come up with asthma problems, breathing problems. These are things people don't realize impacts the child. And they are actually a form of abuse, because many adults think it's okay. You can sit at home, smoke, the child can be in one corner, and everything's okay. It's not okay. The child doesn't have a voice to tell you, don't smoke.
Yeah,
especially,
you're killing me.
You're killing the child. And you know, in our culture, the children are very respectful, so they don't really, you know, approach and say things out. So it goes on and on. And so down the line, you can have things like cancer, you can have things like stroke, many related problems from all this. Okay.
That feature also addressed congenital issues.
Absolutely.
So that goes without saying that some women smoke when they are pregnant.
Prior to pregnancy, yes. Yes, they do. And there's obviously, the obstetrics and gynecologist obviously screen for that. They try to prenatal counseling, make sure that is done, but at the same time, it's not something we can control overall. So hopefully these videos you see here and these clips you've seen today makes you understand that the impact you do for a child is sometimes very subtle. You don't see it, but it affects the child immensely down the line.
So imagine if we choose to do something that is positively impactful. That means we can begin to build our children in the right direction from early on.
Yeah. by educating them. Young parents need to be well educated. We're just talking about smoking. Drinking alcohol as well is a very big issue. You mentioned congenital problem. These babies come out. You see some of them very tiny, fragile. You know, you can see that disorientation already in just a newborn baby. You know, it's quite degrading. It's so painful. We need a lot of awareness in our society. And during our mother's time, we never saw all this. They didn't, because they believe in eating healthy. They believe in so many norms that are so cultural norms, that are so educative. But we today feel we are educated. We are not. We are even getting it wrong on daily basis. In fact, if we keep on talking, we discuss a lot. There is a lot. But the major thing is that educating people from early onset in our schools, primary schools, secondary schools, because when a child gets to university level, you as a parent, you are not there to control. He has already started mingling with the society. Children from various homes are now there, and they do their thing. But if we start early, even from our schools, we start ringing this bell, I think we'll get there.
Absolutely.
And we'll have a free society and a healthier one.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
One of our features also talked about skin bleaching.
Yes.
You know, like, you know, especially in the African continent, they believe that when you're fair-skinned, you know, that you have an advantage.
Well, I'm fair-skinned. I hope it doesn't matter.
You have an advantage over the dark-complected people. So that's why we hear nowadays some mothers start rubbing different things. I will use the word malicious things on the skins of their children. But tell us, what is the medical impact of such a thing?
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, I'm so glad we talked about this today, because these are all very, as you call them, subtle, meaning things you don't really see physically. I know when we talk about child abuse, we tend to look at the physical side, where the parent is beating a child, you know, you can see bruises and stuff like that. But these ones are things you can't really see. They're just very silent. When you talk about bleaching, it's more of a social and self-esteem issue. If you're allowing a child to feel like their skin color is not of any value, then what you're going to happen is that you perpetrate a symptom whereby the kid feels all the time, I have to look lighter in order to be accepted by the society, and that not realizing that the black skin has an advantage. And there's a reason why God made us black. Okay, the sun allows you to get natural vitamin D, allows you to be much stronger. So I wish we can have a way to make parents understand that the bleaching is actually a very detrimental aspect about it. Apart from the skin itself being slushed off, at a certain level, the skin becomes very fragile. And so you may have a lot of people down the line, as they get to be adults, having skin issues. And this is all because of what they started as a young little child.
And can this lead to cancer?
Absolutely, because if they get exposed outside to the sun a lot, you can have what they call all cancer, skin cancer. You have melanoma, you have squamous cell carcinomas. These are all big names, but they're all forms of skin cancers. And that's because you've already made the skin very fragile if they get exposed so much to the sun as well.
And the country is sunny. When we come back, I will bring up the issue of can there be a psychological impact? Because by bleaching your child early on, perhaps you are letting them imagine that black skin not attractive. They're not going to stop. So beyond the health implications, we need to look in another direction. Are there also psychological implications or impact? But first, we'll go to Lagos, where there's talk of heavy hairstyles. When we say heavy hairstyles, of course you can begin to imagine. Even there are some hairstyles that adults wear, and it's heavy literally, it's heavy figuratively, it's heavy metaphorically, it's heavy in every way. Imagine carrying this thing now and placing on the head of our very young children. Lagos, what did you find?
The choice of styling a female child's hair in different creative and beautiful ways in itself is not a bad idea.
It makes them comfortable. At times, like this one, she doesn't like heat. So if you leave the hair, she feels sweat a lot. So that's why I plait her hair like this. So in order for breeze to touch her.
To make them look nice and attractive, you can just do something simple for them.
While it's not out of place to make a female child's hair, however, recently, heavy hairstyles on children's head, all in the name of making them stand out of the crowd, is raising eyebrows.
They may come and choose the hair that is touching their bum bum. But what I expect the mother to do, no, this one is too high for you, it's too big for you, don't do this. Just make a minor set to look nice. You know, when the mother tell the child that I will be able to put my, don't worry, I will make your hair beautiful.
You see, these days, because of the modern age, you see some parents making braids on a female child or frontal installation these days, and it's very, very bad for a female child.
Most times I have order for children. Some mothers say, I want this for my children. So me, I think wigs are not for children because wigs is not as comfortable as hair that you put on your own natural hair. So it can make a child feel uncomfortable.
Can these heavy hairstyles be termed as a subtle form of child abuse?
It may be, because children don't have decision on their own. They don't have decision on their own. Even if the child may not be really feeling comfortable, but she may not be able to express herself. Like, mommy, I don't want this. She may just, because that's what the mommy wants for her. She may just decide to take it like that. But deep down, the child does not really feel okay. So I think parents should, mothers should allow their child to some certain hairstyles not be imposed on children until they are up to age of doing that. Frontal, when you apply it, they use a bond, a gum they use to apply it. And before you remove it, you have to apply remover. There's remover for it to take it off. So imagine applying that on a child, and maybe while the child is playing, maybe the other one or two things happen, or one or the other child pull it off. You know how painful that can be. It's very, very painful. So that can destroy the child's hairline, and the child will start from that age to have poor hairline, which is not really good. So I think it's not proper.
If they say so, that is a child abuse, for them, the person may be right, but for me, I'm saying it's not right. You understand? It's the fault. It's a child. We can say it's a child. Yes, it's a child. He may see it as a good something. The child may see it as a nice something.
Just as the mirror shows a true representation of who we are, the female child also is a true reflection of her mother. Thus, before making your child's hair, it is important to consider the following. Choose hairstyles that are appropriate for your child's age. Choose hairstyles that will be comfortable for your child to carry. Avoid hairstyles that can cause physical or emotional damage on your children. Even after making your child's hair with all the above suggestions, but your child is complaining about severe pains or headaches, please loosen the hair. Heavy hairstyles can destroy a child's self-esteem in the near future. Let's choose wisely.
Interesting. You know, when I was listening to one of the stylists, she had the wigs outside her shop. She said imposed. She used the term imposed. And that is huge. It means that in that decision-making process, the child did not have an opinion. There was no say-so. But we'll come and talk about heavy hairstyles for children. Before that feature, we were wrapping up with the psychological impact that skin bleaching may have on children. Mrs. Ugafo, can we look at that angle? Do you think a psychological experience can begin to unravel with a child if you start them with altering their skin color at a young age?
Very appropriate.
Yeah.
It's very, how do I put it, very derogatory.
Okay.
When you make a child to believe that you are of that skin, it's not superior. It's better you're of a lighter skin. And then you start tuning up a child from early age with such damaging cosmetics. you know, you are lowering the child's self-esteem and worth without you knowing what you are impacting on that child. Some at a very level will understand and feel, oh, what have they done to me? This is not appropriate. Because these children now, they read a lot. She will now discover, oh, this could damage my system, thin off my skin, you know, make me unhealthy, and later on in life, by the time maybe a child is getting to 30 years, she's already looking like a woman of 40 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the skin has so been damaged. So it has a big psychological effect on them, and that child will have what we call very low esteem. You may see the child withdrawing from others, wanting to be alone at every given time. A lot of things will start coming in. But it is good we build these children, give them healthy education, educate them properly to accept who they are and be what they are.
That's a good point.
And we celebrate them proper on that.
So let me ask you then, so you're a mother now.
Yeah.
You have daughters too, right?
Yes.
I presume. So how would you tell them, you know, in cases where this is an issue, where they have bleaching issues, self-esteem issues, is there anything you've done?
Well, personally, from day one, I would not allow you use anything of such.
Okay.
But you don't force it on them. You educate a child. You talk. Talk. Explaining things for them to understand.
So conversation.
Through proper conversation with your children. And when you bring them very close, when you talk, they listen. And then they're able to see that you are pointing out to them.
Perhaps you're able to show them examples, because nowadays the living examples of skin bleaching from an early age are evident. They are there.
It's very common.
You let them know you are exposing yourself to an ugly infection because you've so thinned your skin.
Yeah.
Whatever that comes your way comes, you are in and out of the hospital.
She makes a good point.
You are treating something you don't know you created. This can lead to a lot of damage on the system. Leave cancer out of it. There are other things that will affect you physically.
She makes a very valid point, which people fail to realize, is that the bleaching sloughs of the skin makes the skin very, very fragile. So little infection, bacterial infection, happen easily. And sometimes it can be so bad enough that the bacterial infection can go into your bloodstream, leading to something what we call sepsis. So it's really critical people understand that the use of these chemicals, as much as we want to, you know, enhance our looks, stand out, has detrimental effects overall to the child.
It's even more negatively impactful when we're using it on young children.
Even
So imagine that child starting earlier, maybe from the age of 4 or 5, up to, if she lives to 95, and then the economy changes here and there, money is reduced. Even if she's buying something, how do we even know what we are buying?
Yeah, you don't.
How does she know what she's using? It may look attractive for a while, but all of a sudden, you know, it could change. We also went to Lagos and we saw talk about hairstyles. We know that the hair is the crowning glory, Dr. Val. You have daughters?
Yeah, I do. I have a daughter. Yes, I do.
Do they wear their natural hair or do they have an attachment?
Well, interestingly, my daughters do the things they want to do. I mean, I can talk, but they don't
care.
They're
Teenagers.
They're teenagers. So they have their own ways. But to that point, the reality is, you know, everything is cultural. We as black people, we as Nigerians, hairstyling and braiding is normal for us, and it's something we like to do. The question becomes, how far do you start braiding a child? At what age do you start braiding a child? It seems like there's a lot of competition to make your child look better or beautiful at a very early stage, which is fine. But in the medical side, which you probably have seen as well, is that you have something they call traction alopecia. It's a big word, but it just simply means you're pulling the hair too tight. And then you start doing it as a young little child. You find out when they get older, they have regressing hairline. For men, it's okay. I have no hair. I can shave my hair. But for a woman, once that traction starts going back, it becomes a very bad thing. And it's all from starting as a young child with a lot of tension to the hair.
Not only that, You see, sometimes in the marketplace, I'll see some women, I'll say, Madam, please, don't be offended. Can I talk to you? You notice a woman is carrying a baby, but she doesn't know that that child is so uncomfortable and in pain out of beauty.
Okay, they are making the hair and she's carrying the baby.
Yeah, they are
the baby
finished
that young.
making.
Okay.
You see them moving with their baby. But when you look, you see something on that child. She is not seeing it. She will just say, we made her hair. But she doesn't even know what is happening. The child is in pain. It's uncomfortable. It's not even relating to the mother well again, because even a baby can relate with you properly. When you look at a newborn baby, the baby may give you a smile. But because that child is in pain, you just be looking at him.
Yeah. And that's a good point.
You've made a beautiful hair, but you are killing the child.
Yeah.
So sometimes I tell them, why all this? Can you allow my child to braid? And if you must, let it be loose. Not all these tight hairstyles, heavy hairstyles. And you should tell in 1 or 2 days she will be okay. No, the damage you are creating will come tomorrow.
100%.
Tomorrow you may see such a child. They will come to hospital. I don't know, my hair, her hair is just falling off. When you look at such a child, you know where the problem has come. At that tender age, the child had been traumatized. The scarf has been, the hair follicles has so been disturbed, and the result is just coming out. The hair will start falling off with some children, and then she'll start running around again. And once it's a girl child, we are more disturbed. Every woman wants her girl child to have hair.
To look beautiful.
Yeah, because God has made it that way. But let's not destroy it.
Yeah.
For me, I tell mothers, leave these children alone if you can. I don't. While I am to enter secondary school, all through, I have a mother. You're a girl. She's not interested in knowing you're a girl.
It's
All
even
of
low
us,
cut.
she was shaving our
Low
hair
cut.
from day one. But you want to go to secondary school, you were so happy. She takes you to Baba again to do it proper golimankpa. That's we call golimankpa. She will now shave your hair very well.
So you will not be distracted.
She will tell you, I don't want that nonsense. Free bath on your hair, feel free with yourself.
That's good.
But to some extent, we never liked it. Because you get to school, you see others that make their hair. But when I became a nurse, for me, I now appreciated it so well. I prefer my children, girl child, no making of hair. But when you are done with secondary school, you are now more mature to know the left from the right. You cannot go and sit down and make hair that will make you uncomfortable.
Sure.
You should know what you want.
That's a
We
good
are
point.
Africans.
Indeed.
For me.
Even as an adult, there was a time I made my hair for 3 days. 3 days and 3 nights. I couldn't sleep.
Oh my goodness.
I had to go and take it off. As an adult,
Yeah.
full grown. So you can imagine, and I can speak. I went and made the hair.
Okay.
So I went and removed it. Dashed them the
And
resources.
let me ask you, if you want to be honest with yourself, for the first 1 week after that, how were you feeling generally?
Oh, free,
physically?
free. I chose freedom.
You chose freedom?
I chose freedom over
Absolutely.
pain.
But for that 3 days of pain,
Misery.
because people don't know that pain is another killer.
Yeah. And then to her point too, you know, that she raised a point which in the medical term we call, I'll use the word chronic somatic syndromes or
Yes.
symptoms. So it just means that the person is going to complain of pain in different ways. You can't explain it. The child, you pulled her hair so much, she may not come and complain of the hair problem, but she complains of headaches, frequent headaches. You're wondering, why is the kid having headaches? You start running around for all kinds of medical treatments, but really it's all because of the traumatic ways you've done the hair. So we all have to be very cautious, and these are very subtle ways that impact
And you may see them as well being restless,
Yeah.
looking withdrawn. She's in pain, that pain. But she will not say it, because mommy has made my hair, I must carry it.
Yes.
She will not tell you. Please, mothers, we are advising, let us take it easy a bit on
our
these little
children.
ones.
Absolutely. 100%.
Let them grow.
Yeah.
Let them enjoy being children. We're watching, we're enjoying together Weekend Do, learning from our experts, and the way the information flow makes it very easy for you to understand, for you to discern, for you to take note. It's for us that they are sharing all this knowledge. We'll take a break now. We're talking about subtle forms of abuse with particular attention to our children. We'll be back. Don't go away. You're watching Weekend Deal, and our focus is subtle forms of child abuse. Sometimes you may abuse a child, yours or a relative or a child in your vicinity, and you may not know. But there are other times when you will feel that this thing I'm doing may not be in the best interest of that child. What do you do when you realize that? You ought not to continue. But let's go to Kano now. Let's talk about children assuming adult responsibilities. How is that even possible? Well, we'll get more when we see this feature.
Loitering under intense sun and sometimes heavy downpour raises so many questions about their mental and moral health. These children, within the range of going to school age, are seen at different strategic junctions in Kano, dashing between moving vehicles, displaying various goods.
If, let's say, a child is actually a tax, which is greater, you understand, in, let's say, energy than what he can perform, or what he or she can perform, or where the child, you understand, the engagement in that particular activity or labor will not permit the child to actually go to school.
Sunana Aminu Basiru Muhammad. Ina yin sana'a ne a jajjada gundi na ɗauki kaya gun ɗan malam. Muna ɗaukar kaya sai mu raba ribar. Ya ɗauki kuɗin sai ya bar riba ta.
Sunana Ibrahim, shekara ta 13, ina sana'ar cingan ne. Idan muka sai kuma ribar da muka samu ya yi lissafi, a ba mu ribar ta mu yi mutu. Ina yi ajiyewa idan suka tare ɗanya aka cin aiko daga gida sai in aika amfani da layi da su yayi.
To some, this might look a gainful venture. The young lads are seen as fending for themselves, and much so for their family. But to many, these children are out there because someone has abandoned their responsibilities.
In more developed society, before you will be allowed to marry, you have to visit a counselor. You must get a certificate of counseling. Someone must confirm. You understand? A professional must confirm that actually the marriage is compatible, that actually you have the right state of mind to actually engage in that relationship. You have to clear. And you see, marriage is a contract, it's a union. And every contract, you understand, has its own foundation. How to clear? There are rules, there are boundaries in every contract. So if an individual wants to raise a family, you should be able to understand that that particular issue, you understand, is associated with a number of responsibilities, which can be counted. They are financial, they are social, they are psychological. For instance, you must provide a place for a resident, you understand, for your own family. You must feed your family, you have to dress them, you must actually cater for their own education, their health, and so on and so on. And above all, even training.
On the street, they are exposed to various forms of hazards and risks that reduce their thinking ability. They suffer teasing and mockery by passers-by. All these have far-reaching consequences on the child as he adventures into adulthood.
Those children will not understand the implication of what they are doing at this age, but it will be later they will understand. Because at this age, when they are earning money, they won't understand the implication of not going to school.
Although experts relate this problem to the failure of the family institution, the effort to salvage the situation is not a single one.
Since we are in a critical economic situation, government should do more in respect of policies which can alleviate poverty in our society, particularly women empowerment. When you empower
a woman, she will take good care of her children, both in education, healthcare, and all sort of requirement for
that feature, that package, through more enlightenment on what I said earlier about children assuming adult responsibilities. And we're thinking amongst ourselves, as in, how is that possible? Is it that they do their chores in the home? Do they help their parents out in the farm? Because that should be the norm, isn't it?
Yes.
But Dr. Val, we've seen another dimension.
Yeah. Well, this is actually what we call parentification. Parentification. This is where a child takes on takes on the role of an adult because the parent is not absent. Most of the time what happens is that either the parent, mom or dad, are working for long hours, so they're never home. Secondly, there's a need to bring extra money to the family, so the child has to sort of take the role of hawking something in the street, as we saw in the video clips, just trying to help the family's income there. And it's really detrimental to the child. Because what happens is that the child gets into the same stress. If you're an adult has stress, I know, Dr. you have stress, and then you can imagine now the stress on a child in having to fulfill that role. Some of the things they do, they might start preparing the meals for the child when the parents are not there.
Yeah.
They may start signing their school report because the parents are not at home. And these are all the roles an adult should have done, not a child.
So you could even change the result. Since you have given them the right to go be adults.
Absolutely, it happens. And so she's a mother, so she knows what it's like more. So
tell us, madam.
What do I have to say concerning this now? When you look around, even in Abuja here, it's becoming so rampant. Whether anybody wants to believe it or not, still throwing it at our government. The lower class are suffering so much now that people barely eat. And then subjecting these children to a lot of things is becoming very common. You see these ones on the streets selling. Did you hear what they said? They are saying, if you understand Hausa, they collect, sell for the owners, so they have a percentage they give them, which they go home with. Some are even saying that is where they sustain their own parents.
Yes, they send to their parents.
We are seeing these ones on the street. You are native people. I will advise you to go around Abuja, various sites where they are building. You need to see what is going on now. Little children going to carry sands.
So she's alluding more to the poverty side of it.
Are you getting it? So all these things are boiling down to the extreme poverty we have found ourselves now.
But some may say that it's an inherited practice because, you know, it takes a very strong-hearted parent or guardian to send your child. We saw some of those children, they are less than 8, 7, 8 years. They're already out on the streets. You know, it's not something that the parents did, you know, it didn't take them by surprise.
No.
It's been happening.
Because what happens, like, again, everything is tradition, society, and the socioeconomic status of everything else. So obviously, some people, my brother did it, my father did it, so I have to do the same thing too. So it goes on and on. But really, it should not be that way. A child is a child for a reason. And really, a child in the context of child should be at least beyond 18 years of age before you start really imposing certain things on them.
Adult responsibilities. And even they can be abused out there on the streets.
Absolutely, that's the risk of it.
There's a lot of risk to what they are doing. These children are so abused. I work in the hospital. You get some, because they go out there to sell these stuffs, they are being raped, gradual rape until they graduate. They bring a child of 10 years to hospital. By the time you assess that child or question that child, then examine that child, you are shocked at what you are seeing. And it's not the little ones like them doing it, matured adults.
Yes.
So I'm still saying, our government, we should do something to this extreme poverty. If we have free education, what is wrong with this country? We can have it. Okay. Most of these parents will allow these children to go to school. I know I'm not paying anything, so why wouldn't my child go to school?
Okay.
So the government, I'm still of the opinion, government have a lot of say
they can do more.
on this.
Absolutely.
They need to do more because
okay.
we are running into problem.
Okay, but before I take that feature, we'll also recall that even when people have done this over decades, even when education was free, it's like I said, it's an inherited practice in some parts of the country.
But you don't see it as much as we are seeing
today.
As it is now.
It's rampant. Okay.
It's so rampant.
Okay. Okay, that's another avenue, another dimension that can be explored. For now, we'll go to Minna. Minna is in Niger State, another state in Nigeria. And the focus here is belittling and humiliating children. Sometimes our verbiage is so key when we address young people. It could have a good impact. On the other side, it could have a negative impact as well. But it's to Minna that we go to get more details about this.
Childhood is meant to be a time of joy, innocence, and self-discovery. However, for some children, it becomes a period tainted by belittlement and humiliation. Children may face derogatory comments, comparisons, or even be made fun of for their appearance, abilities, or interests.
Or sometimes we tend to abuse a child from his structural makeup. You say, look at your head, big head. Look at you, you are short like your father. No. Since as the father or mother, you have never make up a child, there is no cause of abusing a child using some of his physical structure directly. All these are forms of abuse that in our homes, we say them, we operate them, and we don't know. All utter such things to the children because it will create a kind of negative feeling. They will feel guilty, they will feel inadequate, and all this have effect on their personality.
The impact of constant belittlement and humiliation is profound. It chips away at a child's self-esteem, leaving them feeling worthless and unlovable. Every derogatory comment, every mocking remark reinforces the belief that they are not deserving of respect or acceptance.
The act of favoritism, you find out that is human-made. So since they all bear the name of your children, in that case, you don't need to favor one and disfavor the other one. What you do, definitely there will be a kind of emotional negative strain on the child. And this, to some extent, result to a kind of undesirable grudges, envy, and perhaps jealousy. And that is why today, in some communities, in some homes, you find cases where children will get right of their parent, kill them out of sheer grudge, because maybe they love the other one above those other children.
The effect of these mistreatments extend beyond a child's self-perception. They find it challenging to form meaningful connections with others. The fear of judgment and the deep-rooted belief that they are not worthy of love or friendship hinder their ability to trust and open up to others. Over time, the cumulative impact of belittlement and humiliation can lead to long-term emotional scars. These scars manifest as anxiety, depression, and a multitude of other mental health issues that persist into adulthood.
In fact, what the bitter side of my life at the tenor was when my dad has a little problem with the mother that leads my mother out of that house during that period. I felt so weak, and that is also a serious aspect that completely demoralized me during the exams then, because we were to go into promotion exam then in primary 2. Bida East Primary School. That affected me because I took first position, second position, first and third, second time. But that time, with that, it affected my academic performance. And that led me to the fourth position. Because even if I sit down in the midst of people, I will be quiet, look so demoralized at all the time. And then with those counselings, both at home and school, that was how I picked up. It was really a bitter story that I can never forget.
It's time to break the cycle of belittlement and humiliation. As a society, we must prioritize the emotional well-being of our children. Let us drive to create an environment that fosters love, acceptance, and encouragement, where every child feels valued and worthy. The journey to healing begins with awareness and empathy. By understanding the devastating consequences of belittling and humiliating children, we can work together to protect their self-esteem, nurture their self-worth, and create a brighter future for generations to come.
Brilliant. That was brilliant. I really like the summation. It's up to us. The time for healing is now. But there are two measures that we'll put side by side each other. What we ask ourselves sometimes is, these children, these millennials, these young people that we are raising at this time, are they different from us? You know, mentally, physically, psychologically? You know, are they not as strong as we were? You know, and then again, we marry our words. They say your words are like an egg. Just like when the egg breaks, you cannot put it back together. So we should watch what we say. But let me start with you, Mrs. Ugafo. You are a mother and you have raised children, you know, and you heard that package. They say sometimes the words we use with even those we love can belittle and humiliate them. But we know in times past, parents,
they will abuse you.
We are still talking. You see, you don't so much criticize a child. In psychology, their mannerism, the postures, the attitude you see in a child that is not uniform to what that child should be doing, should be handled. But then, which method did you use in doing it? So that you don't, from saying you want to remove a problem and you create a bigger problem. So you don't over-criticize, mock, or make fun of them because of their appearance, that ability in them. No, you take it bit by bit. Show love. Show love. What am I saying? You see some other, their children opens mouth. One day in the church, a woman sitting beside me, because her daughter, she's fond of that. She will just, you need to say what she did.
So you're talking about the verbal abuse?
Piam, with her back of her finger, right inside the church.
She slapped the child.
You know, that child, till this mass finish, was just like this.
Yeah. And that's a good point she's referring to.
You know,
yeah, very good point.
You have touched her self-worth. You have touched her self-confidence. You are not building it. Rather, you are demoralizing her
self-esteem. Okay.
And nothing stops such a mother from a little tap. Or even, and then you give her a smile.
That's a good point. But
Because
I think she's good about that. I like what you said about that. That when you want to address something in a child, if they did something wrong, think of the context of where you are.
Yes.
Think of what it means, the child, maybe her peers around her, you're in a church environment.
People around.
Around you. So you address abnormal behaviors in the child differently.
When you are in public.
When you're in public. And at home too. People forget, it's not just what you do outside. At home, the language you use. Obviously, if you keep calling a child you're an idiot, you're such an egghead, you're lodo, I mean, what do you want the child to think when it grows up? You know, it affects them. They think of themselves as intellectually lower. They can achieve much, they're not successful. And so we have to be very careful the wording. Now, you mentioned a point about, is the children today different from the children of yesterday?
Less strong, mentally, physically, psychologically, than we were. Because growing up, we had all kinds of names and titles.
Absolutely.
If you misbehaved, words will come out. It's the words that will fight you. It's not all your aunties or siblings that could hit you, or they will let it out.
Yes, absolutely. So which is a point. There is a difference because what happens, I think, parenting today is a little bit more relaxed than parenting of yesteryears.
Okay.
It's not that our parents did not love us. They loved us more, actually. But they felt that they had to give you a sense of a strong discipline then. And so, for whatever reason, we all tend to have a little shell when we are younger then as compared to today. So I think it's just a little bit of the time change overall.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I want to thank you. As we wrap up, I will just read out this message they've been watching. Mr. Samuel from Lagos says he particularly enjoyed the banter. He said we've addressed so many issues, and parents and guardians who are thinking of the best interests of their children should take a cue from all we have shared today. We thank you very much, Professor Val Odife, Professor of Pediatrics, Guy Singer Medical School, Pennsylvania, United States.
Thank you.
Great to have you on Weekend. Mother, thank you so much. I've learned so much from you, and we're taking the excellent messages out to all those who should hear it. We've been talking with Mrs. Augusta Ofune Ogafo, retired Deputy Director, Nursing Services Clinical at the National Hospital in Abuja. Thank you, Mama.
Thank you so much.
And also
My
for
great
wearing
pleasure.
your dark complexion with pride.
Yes.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Yeah,
it's the pride of the African continent.
100%.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you too.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you once more.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. That's how we wrap it up on Weekend Deal today. It's been a pleasure having your company on the show as we've been talking specifically about our children and the impact we have on them as guardians and as parents. Remember, we are the first role models our children encounter in life. Even when we think they are not watching, they are watching. Before they talk, they see. Before they talk, they listen. It behoves us to have the best possible impact on them. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, don't bring your bad habits near my home, near my family, near my children. I'm raising future leaders, and I enjoin you all to do the same. God indeed bless Nigeria. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, bright and early. From all of us here, it's bye-bye.